The cafeteria went silent the moment the tray clattered to the ground. The new girl stood frozen, her eyes wide, as three boys towered over her with smug grins. It was only her second day at this school, and already, trouble had found her. Students sitting nearby exchanged nervous glances, some whispering while others simply watched, curious about what would unfold. No one expected what was about to happen, because in just seconds, the girl everyone thought was timid and fragile would shock the entire cafeteria. Her name was Alina. She had transferred from another city after her father's job moved them across the country. New school, new faces, and the overwhelming pressure of fitting in weighed heavy on her shoulders. Alina wasn't the type to draw attention. She liked sitting quietly in corners, reading, sketching in her notebook, and observing people. But for some reason, her quietness made her stand out, and bullies loved easy targets. The three boys who surrounded her were known troublemakers: Jason, the ringleader with a cruel smile, Matt, the loud one who always laughed at others' pain, and Derek, the tallest, who acted tough but followed Jason's orders without question. They had already marked Alina as their entertainment. "Hey new girl," Jason sneered, kicking at her chair. "This is our table. You don't just sit here." Alina stayed calm, lifting her eyes to meet his. Her silence made Jason's smirk falter for a moment before he leaned closer. "What, cat got your tongue? Or are you just too scared to talk?" The other boys laughed, egging him on. The cafeteria held its breath. Everyone had seen this before, new kids targeted until they either cried or begged for mercy. Alina's face gave away nothing. Inside, though, she felt her heart racing. Memories of her past echoed in her mind, the countless times she had been underestimated, the way people thought she was weak. But they didn't know the truth. Back in her old city, Alina had trained in martial arts since she was a child. Her father, once a professional fighter, had taught her discipline, strength, and control. She never liked to fight, but she had promised herself never to let bullies break her spirit again. Jason grabbed the edge of her tray and shoved it, food splattering across the table. Laughter erupted from the boys, but it was short-lived. Alina slowly stood up, her movements deliberate, her gaze steady. "I asked you nicely to stop," she said quietly, her voice calm but firm. The boys mocked her tone, thinking she was bluffing. Then Jason reached out, pretending to shove her shoulder, and that was the last mistake he made. In a blur, Alina shifted her weight, spun on her heel, and delivered a precise spinning kick. Jason went down hard, crashing into the table behind him. Gasps filled the cafeteria. Before Matt or Derek could react, she pivoted again. One swift kick knocked the wind out of Matt, sending him stumbling backward, while Derek, towering and slow, lunged at her only tee. The cafeteria buzzed with chatter, the clinking of trays, and the laughter of students finding comfort in their groups. But in one corner, silence wrapped around a single table. A girl sat alone, her dark hair falling over her shoulders as she quietly picked at her lunch. Her name was Alina. The new girl. The one nobody knew, the one everybody whispered about. Alina had moved to this school only 2 days ago. For her, starting over was nothing new. Her father's job forced their family to relocate often. Each time meant leaving behind friends, familiar streets, and memories she wished she could hold on to. This time, though, felt heavier. She had promised herself she would keep her head down, blend in, and avoid trouble. But trouble always seemed to find her. Across the cafeteria, 3 boys locked their eyes on her. Jason, Matt, and Derek, the self-proclaimed kings of the school. They thrived on fear, always seeking someone weaker to humiliate. Today, their target was obvious, the quiet new girl sitting alone. Jason smirked. "Watch this," he muttered to his friends as they made their way toward her. Alina didn't look up until the shadow of 3 figures loomed over her tray. Jason leaned forward, tapping the table with his knuckles. "Hey, newbie. Didn't anyone tell you? This is our table." Matt snorted, and Derek cracked his knuckles as if warming up for a show. Alina took a slow breath, remembering her father's voice, "Stay calm. Always stay calm." She glanced at Jason and replied softly, "It's just a table. There's room for everyone." Her calmness annoyed them. Jason shoved her tray, spilling food across the table. Students around them gasped, but no one dared intervene. The cafeteria had seen this routine before. The bullies pushed, the victim broke, and the crowd pretended not to notice. But Alina wasn't like the others. Beneath her quiet demeanor was a girl who had spent years in dojos, training in martial arts. Not to hurt others, but to protect herself, to find strength in silence. Jason sneered. "What's the matter? Cat got your tongue." He reached out to shove her shoulder. That was his mistake. In a blur, Alina rose, her body moving with precision. She pivoted, spun on her heel, and her foot snapped into Jason's chest. The sound of impact echoed as he stumbled back, crashing into a table. Gasps erupted. Before Matt could laugh, Alina's leg swept out, knocking his knees out from under him. Derek lunged forward, but she turned, her kick landing clean against his torso, sending him to the floor with a grunt. The cafeteria froze. 3 boys who once owned the room now lay groaning at her feet. Alina didn't strike again. She didn't smile. She simply straightened her shirt and said, "I didn't come here to fight. But I won't let anyone walk over me." For a moment, silence filled the room. Then a slow clap began. One, then another, until the entire cafeteria erupted in applause. Alina felt heat rise in her cheeks, but she stood tall, her